Welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you here with us on this LinkedIn Live. Today, I am here with two of my wonderful colleagues. I have Will McDuffie, who is from our HR department, and I also have Brianna Radasti, who is joining us from Boston. And she is someone who's going to talk a little bit about her experiences with us first as an intern and now as an all-star employee. So welcome to both of you. Thank you both for being here. Let me start by turning to Will. Will, please, over to you.
Prior, and it truly doesn't get any less exciting. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about the program and answer any questions that we may have in the future.
You said got cut off. So I wonder if you could just rewind that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying thank you, and I look certainly forward to speaking with everybody about the internship program and talking about how the new cohort of students are going to be joining Counterpart this summer. And while Counterpart has had internships prior, it's really going to be exciting to welcome the new cohort in, as we got a lot of exciting things planned for the interns.
Yes, it is going to be a really great year for the interns. I know you and the HR team have worked very hard to put a very good process in place, and we'll be hearing more about that. And I'm excited to meet the interns when they arrive. So, Bree, let me turn to you. I'm very glad you've joined us. Maybe you could say a few words about your experience.
Hi, Anne. Hi, Will. Yes, so happy to be here. Happy to share a little bit about my experience as an intern now about 7, 8 years ago at Counterpart, and I'm now an associate director of the governance team at Counterpart, which I'm truly happy and proud to be a part of still. So looking forward to share more with you a little bit later.
Thank you, Bree. Will, let me turn back to you, and maybe you could tell the people who've joined us what is the objective of our internship program? Why do we do this?
Certainly. So our focus is making sure that we afford interns the opportunity to have real world experience and also giving them the tools and experience to assist them with their next steps after college, whether with Counterpart or externally. We want to make sure that we prepare leaders for the appropriate opportunities that come up in their careers.
What qualities do we look for in the interns we select?
Somebody who really has the overall interest in development, somebody who's really focusing on collaboration. As you know, with Counterpart International, almost all of our work is through collaboration. So somebody who is really willing to be able to be uh, collaborative and also adaptive to the different company needs, and overall somebody who really has a strong focus on shaping the positive change within the development community.
Fantastic. Thank you. And maybe you could say a little bit about what the application and selection process is like. So if anyone who's joined in is listening and interested to apply, they know what to expect.
Certainly. So it is a three-step process. So the first step is to formally apply. We have to go through the ISIM system. The team is going to review the applications on a rolling basis to determine whether a person is considered. Then we go to the second step. The second step is having the initial screening with our internship liaisons about yourself, your interest, and to learn more about the specific projects that the respective unit will have the internship supporting. After that, the liaisons will then share their notes with the supervisor to determine whether the person would be applicable. If so, you're going to be invited to step three, which is a one on one conversation with the supervisor. Now, once this is completed, the supervisor will then determine the final steps in the process, electing their choice for the internship. And then I get to do the fun part of the work and share the exciting news with the candidate.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing that process.
Absolutely. And I wanted to, piggyback off you questioning, and I wanted to ask you a couple questions. And, as president of Counterpart, you've seen the company's growth and development much longer than I have. So if you don't mind me asking, what advice would you give students who want to apply?
Well, I would say that you've done a great job of talking about what kind of people we're looking for, the qualities that we're searching for. And I would say it's important for people to be open. So when they come in, that if they're open to new ideas, new challenges, new colleagues that they'll be meeting, that's going to serve them very well. I think if you come in as an intern and say, this is what I do and this is only what I do, you'll really limit yourself from learning and from getting exposure. So my first tip would be open. The second thing is to quote President Obama. He said for interns, they should figure out how to get things done. And I loved that because I think it is very important when you come in as an intern, you want to make things happen. So figure out how in this particular organization you can make things happen. And to do that, you'll probably need to work with your supervisor, you'll need to work with your colleagues. And I loved that advice because I think it is very action oriented and it also situates you within the organization in the structure and with the staff who are there to work collaboratively to get things done. And the third piece of advice I would offer is use the internship to really develop your networks. You know, the first people you meet are going to be part of your now beginning network of professional contacts. And so you're building. It's like building a house. This is going to be your foundation. So all the people you'll meet at Counterpart, we will become part of your professional network. However, we also sit right downtown in Washington, D.C., and we're surrounded by USAID, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Department of State, many other NGOs, private sector, embassies, the World Bank. So it is a great time to come to Counterpart and network with other organizations through the gatherings they host, potentially through happy hours that will happen in the summer. There's usually a lot of activity for interns, very specific to interns. And so taking advantage of those things is all about, sure, having fun, but it's also about building your network. And of course, since we're on LinkedIn, I would encourage everybody to develop your LinkedIn network. So it may be virtual, maybe you'll have a chance to meet people in person. And that's really important because as you go through your career, it's really your networks that are going to best serve you for next opportunities, for advice when you need it, for support when you're having a difficult time. So build your network. Those would be my 3 tips. And I will say, to give credit to students who are already doing such a good job networking, we hosted in our office a couple of weeks ago, thanks to your team, Will, for helping to put this together. We had the University of Dayton students who were here in Washington, D.C. for their spring break trip. They come for the last 12 years. They've done a Dayton to D.C. program. And the UD Flyers were here with us and they got to know more about international development, about women's leadership. We hosted a panel here for them and we made that same point about networks. So now those students are already building their DC networks and we consider them part of the Counterpart family. We also tomorrow will have a wonderful visit from the Middlebury Institute of International Studies of Monterey, and one of our colleagues who runs our communications team, Elizabeth Corley. She is an alum of that institute, and she has very graciously organized, I think this is the 2nd year we've had those students here, and we're thrilled to welcome them. So those are just good examples of students who are already out there networking and supported by their universities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anne, for the input. I can just say that I wish I had somebody, telling me that when I was that age. And as far as a student, I think that they're going to find those tips very useful for the application process.
Well, thank you, Will. I really do love to mentor students and emerging professionals. At this stage in my career, it's probably one of the most gratifying parts of my work is to see people who are new. They have everything in their career ahead of them. It's exciting. I know it's scary and can be very stressful. And so I always tell them, really just enjoy the journey that you're on. And also to remember that sometimes when you don't get an internship or a job, you have to think, well, you're the right person. That was the wrong opportunity. And I think that's important to remind students and the people who are here with us on our LinkedIn chat that, really you are a valued person, regardless of the outcomes that may transpire in every opportunity. You can't get every opportunity. So that's just to say, don't be discouraged. And I thought maybe what we could do is shift gears a little bit and turn to Bree, who is someone who has had a really exciting career. She came to us 7 years ago now, I believe, as an intern, and she has since been rising up through the career ranks here at Counterpart. She's an all-star member of our team. She's been very responsible for a lot of the successes that we've had. She's helped to build our program portfolio. She's also helped to mentor other interns. And so let me turn to you, Bree. Maybe you could say a few words for our guests here about how your internship experience with us prepared you for the current role that you now have as an associate director.
Thank you so much, Anne. It's been a really exciting ride thus far at Counterpart. And I think so when I came in as an intern, I was intern for a regional programs team, Latin American and Caribbean programs team. Across the program, we had around 6 to 7 programs. And my job as the intern was really, to what you said earlier, to keep things moving. It was a lot of little tasks throughout the day to make sure that everything was copacetic, that things were moving forward, that everyone had what they needed. And I learned so much from that. And I think now, as an associate director on our governance team, I oversee programs, I manage people. I'm lucky to manage interns when they come in as well. And I think one of my strengths that I have now that I'm in this bigger picture role is that I really do understand and have an appreciation for all of my team members. And I really do understand what it means when I, ask for support or assign a task to someone, even if it is, a smaller, what might seem as a small task. And I know what those tasks entail now because I've done them. I've done them firsthand. And so in doing the internship role and the junior level positions at Counterpart, I really sort of learned almost every single role in and of itself up to associate director. And I think I have a better understanding of the bigger picture now because I know that there's no such thing as a small task. And I know how to, or I feel like I'm strengthened by my experience as an intern because of that.
Thank you very much, Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what the process was for you to come in to us as an intern.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I applied as an intern, there was a panel interview, and then there was a call with what would be now the vice president of programs, which was pretty intimidating for me, I'm not gonna lie. But it was also exciting to see like that level of, position screening interviews, interns, I should say. And then when I moved to, when the position opened up for a full-time employee, I was still an intern at Counterpart. It was an open, fair, competitive process. And I remember, sitting in the intern cubicle section, watching candidates walk by, knowing that they were going to interview for this position. And for that sort of process, it was obviously a much different process than the internship application process. But, being an intern really gave me a very qualified resume and really let me know, how best to answer those questions, where the gaps were in the team, how I felt like I could fill those gaps and really be an asset to the team. And so, a little bit into what it looked like when I was an intern, becoming an intern. It sounds like it's a much different process now.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Will, do you think you could tell us a little bit about how that process may have changed since we went through it 7 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a little bit different from our current process right now. I want to repeat again, we are doing the phone screens at the initial onset through the internship liaisons, and then again afterwards we're going to be having the candidates speak with the supervisor. So we're not doing any panel interviews to select the interns anymore with the process. Just want to make sure that's clear for everybody who is online. The process has changed and evolved. So we're doing the phone screen initially with the recruitment liaisons, and then we're going to be doing an interview with the hiring manager afterwards.
Fantastic. Thank you, Will. Sounds like it's a very good process and even more streamlined. I wondered, Bree, if you could say a few words about the Health and Wellness Committee, because I know when I met you, I think it was almost at the time you were just becoming a full-time staff member of Counterpart. In addition to all the great work that you did in your day job, you were really instrumental, and you still are, in the Health and Wellness Committee. And I have been so impressed through the years to see the ways in which that committee, speaking of getting things done, the way in which that committee has really helped to develop Counterpart's culture. And, in my own reflection, I think during COVID, when we were all so stressed and worried and concerned about our loved ones and the people around the world and the communities where we work, I felt that this Health and Wellness Committee really came into its own then. And you in particular were doing things like Cash Cab, you made up bingo games. And I just really can say that that helped me certainly feel less isolated, less alone, and even, believe it or not, have some fun during such a difficult time. So maybe you could say a few words about the Health and Wellness Committee and what kind of culture we have here at Counterpart.
Yeah, absolutely. So funny enough, that's also something that really started for me when I was an intern, because when I was an intern, you were basically mandated to be on the Health and Wellness Committee because the committee itself was only one person. And so the intern comrades that would come in were super helpful for that one person. But for me, I loved it. And I kind of jumped right in and was happy to help. All the interns were really. And I will say that for me, what I learned was even if I were to leave Counterpart, or if I wasn't going to get a full-time opportunity after my internship at Counterpart, no matter where I was going to go, I was going to look for this type of committee or council or what have you to engage in at my employment opportunity, because I really did see the effect that these different events had on staff, the different games that we played, and just being around people that really care about where they work and care about who they work with and how their day's going. For me, as an extrovert, is important to have that kind of sort of communal support. And so I learned that during my internship at Counterpart. And, luckily for me to stay a part of the Health and Wellness Committee over these past 7 years has been one of, I think, the best things I've really done at Counterpart, because it's one of those avenues where you can really see how it affects people's day to day. So many people have come up to me and have just, thanked me, the Health and Wellness Committee, thanked the Health and Wellness Committee for all that we do. And I think it's a really great reflection of Counterpart's culture. Counterpart has changed a lot over the past 7 years, but I think the one thing that hasn't changed is that the people work here because they love the people that work here. And it's just so easy to see that, I think, when you step into our offices. You feel that sort of the small nonprofit like family vibe, which is just, even now, I think, even more important for me coming back from COVID.
Well, thank you, Bree, and thanks to you and the Health and Wellness Committee for all the wonderful things you do. I was just reflecting that this winter seemed like a shorter winter, and now here we are in spring, and I really think that Cozy Tuesdays through the month of February helped us get through it. And so for anyone who's interested in what Cozy Tuesday is, You'll have to apply and come join Counterpart. And well, let me turn now to Will again and ask you, Will, if you could maybe say a few words about, we've talked about the Health and Wellness Committee and the fun things that can happen for people to get involved in there. What are some of the other additional maybe learning or development opportunities that an intern might expect to find here at Counterpart?
Certainly. So, aside from the general project that the intern is going to be supporting within their respective unit, we do have a lot of exciting events for the interns. First off, meeting with the COPs or chiefs of parties. That is something that I wish I would have had the exposure to. These are the leaders for our projects in the field, and really getting their input as far as their career path is really exciting. Aside from that, we have different events like Ice Cream Social. We're going to have a snack in chat with Anne as the CEO with the intern cohort. We're going to be having them join the annual mixer as well. We're going to be having a picnic, and then we're also going to be having a farewell kind of pizza party. But one thing that's really exciting also, again, we wanted to make sure that we set them up for success in the future, is that we are going to be having a CV writing opportunity for them, as well as interviewing skill sets that they're prepared for once they do join the workforce, that they are more prepared for opportunities.
Wow, that is an incredible array of activities, learning events, and career development. So I'm very proud of our team for what you've put together. I know how important it is for people at all stages of their career to have continued learning, and to start off at the intern level, to have this kind of scope for growth and collaboration. I think it sounds fantastic. And I want to again thank you and the team for what you've put together. Our program certainly has grown from the early days when we were trying to bring on interns, and it was a little more ad hoc. So this sounds very professional and very comprehensive. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Bree, I wonder if you could offer some advice for interns who would be coming to Counterpart. How can they make the most out of their experience? We've just heard all these wonderful things that Will has outlined, and you've talked about the Health and Wellness Committee. What advice would you give for interns to be successful?
Yeah, absolutely. I've supervised, I think, 3 or 4 interns over the years at Counterpart. The ones that have been the most successful or that have stood out to me are the ones who really put their all into it. You really get out what you put in for an internship, I believe. But I think there's an important caveat there, and that is that you don't have to come in with all the answers. You're going to be paired essentially with a mentor, a counterpart, or a manager, and they're volunteering to sign up to be an internship mentor because they want to mentor you. They want to coach you. They want to work with you. They want to build your skill set. So you don't have to come in with all the answers. You come in with questions. That is, I think, the most important thing. Just not feeling like you need to have all the answers on day one. We are expecting a learning curve. We're expecting to have to, and we want to teach you. And so coming in with an open mindset, with, a curiosity about you, I think is one of the most important things you can do to have a successful internship experience.
That's really, really great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bree.
Of course.
I also want to add that for people who work at Counterpart, thanks to one of our team members who initiated a mentorship program, we do have ongoing peer mentorship. And I was so excited when this was brought to my attention, and I was asked if I would support developing a program along these lines, and I gave a very enthusiastic yes. And then our HR team took it with the staff and ran with it. And now we have, I think, a really robust mentorship program in place. So it's not only our interns who get to be mentored and learn, but we really do at Counterpart invest in learning at all levels, and also staff initiative that makes Counterpart a much better place. And this staff person who launched the program, she was joined by others to help her get it off the ground. So it's even better as a result of their collaboration.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you would like to add, Will? Any advice for the interns coming in?
This is the summer cohort. I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in the future also, but a little bit of information about it. So the internship program is going to be a 10-week program. It's going to be starting in June and running until August. Again, it's designed for students from varying backgrounds and experience who are really looking to learn more about the work that Counterpart does both domestically and abroad. The tab before was showing different units. We opened the internship to all units within Counterpart, and we're going to have at least one internship in each unit. So whether you're a business administration major or poli-sci or human resources, we have opportunity for you. So we encourage you to apply. We have a lot of those exciting events specifically geared around the interns, like mentioned, ranging from CV and interview skills, workshops, all the way up to meeting with chiefs of parties and CEO. So it's exciting opportunity to join us. So this is the summer cohort. We are planning a winter cohort as well, and then in the future. As we grow and develop and mold this further and further, we are going to be having a spring and fall cohort in the future. But what I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware, if you do have any questions, we have the QR code for applying. And then if you do have any specific questions, internship.liaisons@counterpart.org. And that will bring you to the emails of the liaison team, and we'll be glad to assist. Not just myself, but my team behind me.
That's fantastic. And I just want to underscore that deadline of March 31st, I think you said. So for anyone listening, please do make sure you apply. And if you have questions, Will's given you the link there for the email. And please do ask your questions. I know our team is always very responsive, and we'd love to welcome you. So let me close now by just thanking both Will and Brianna for joining me today, for sharing your experiences, for sharing all the hard work that the team has done to put this internship program together. I hope for anyone watching and listening that you'll consider applying to Counterpart. I do know that we value our interns very much. And as you can see, interns who come to Counterpart sometimes even have a great pathway into the organization. Bree has been an outstanding member of our team, and we have others who've come in as interns and stayed with us, which is really fantastic. So thank you both, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Ann, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Will.